Hello, hello. This is Sabrina Amina. I am the host of the Feelings Pod, and I believe we've begun season 5. This is episode 2. Well, the second episode of season 5. We just kind of fell into it. And today we're going to talk about patience and impatience. My name is Sabrina, and it's a name that is, has is common pretty much all over the world. But my roots are North African. I'm originally from Algeria, and so the root of Sabrina is sabr, and in Arabic, sabr means patience. Allah sabrna is an expression, is like a prayer that asks God to give us patience. Allah sabrna. And so I think that the theme of patience has been present, if not consciously, at least in the background, for me, my entire life. And I don't know that I've always fully or ever fully thought of myself as like a patient person. So it's something I think I strive for. And I think I do have a tremendous capacity for patience. But it gets a little tricky because is it really patience when you are kind of getting frustrated and kind of stuffing down your frustration, and then you get to a point where you kind of lose it, right? Like, is that patience? Is it patience when you like are kind of acting like things are okay when they're not, until you get to a boiling point where you can't really accept any of this anymore? And sometimes the tipping point will be something really small that I can fly off the handle about, thinking I've been practicing patience all along, but really it was, upon reflection, it felt sometimes like more resentment than patience, more of bypassing than really practicing patience. Because I think in order to truly practice patience, there needs to be a quality of acceptance when we have patience. And I decided to do a couple of episodes reflecting on the month of Ramadan and different themes, emotions, lessons that have come up from 30 days of fasting. And one of the big themes every year is patience, because it really takes patience to get through an entire day without eating, drinking. Some folks, have substance addictions to caffeine and tobacco, or other kinds of substances, and it takes a tremendous amount of patience to refrain from consuming any of that. And the thing about fasting is it really needs to be done in the spirit of service and submission and grace, that's when the fast is, most, I would say, when it becomes more easeful, is when you give this sacrifice from a place of willingness and generosity. And I think sometimes we mistake the things that we give from a place of like reluctant duty or obligation. We mistake that for virtue. And I think really the virtue lies in being able to offer a sacrifice with love and generosity and care. And that is really more of what I imagine the true quality of patience. So how do we cultivate that? It takes practice. And I would say, as always, it takes mindfulness and self-awareness and self-reflection to be able to notice, am I giving from a place of fullness, or am I giving from a place of lack? Am I giving when I don't have something to give? So what are the situations where we offer patience, or where we rely on patience or call on patience, is moments that we're challenged, right? Like in the moments that we feel challenged, that's when we need patience the most. And sometimes it doesn't feel quite accessible to find patience in a moment of anger. Sometimes you have to physically step away from a situation to take a breath, gather your resources, and come back to a patient space. Sometimes that's not available, and that's okay too. And in those moments, we practice self-forgiveness. Like, patience is not available right now. I'm really angry about this, and I can't. I don't have anything to give right now. When I think of patience, I always think about like interactions I have with my daughter. And I will ask her to do something, and sometimes I'll have to ask her to do it repeatedly. Don't touch that. Don't touch it. Please don't touch that. Please put that down. So I will repeatedly make a request that is being ignored. And so this is really one of the biggest triggers for me is not being heard and feeling ignored or disregarded. And so that's what triggers my anger. So in a recent, I don't know if I talked about this, but it was a few weeks ago. She was in my room, and I had a vase of flowers, and she was playing around where the table was that had the flowers on it. And I said, please be careful. Please don't play over there. Please don't touch that. Please, like, I could kind of see the events unfolding. But I kept asking her to like stay away from there, and she didn't. She was trying to help, is what she said. And so, of course, the vase of flowers spilled and I just lost it on my poor kid. I was just like, I yelled at her. I got really upset. I jumped up out of my seat and, really had this big reaction. So, you know, and the times that I feel the least resourced is often at the end of a long work day, at the end of the week. And I think this was like on a Thursday or a Friday. I remember it being towards the end of the week and just, completely losing my patience, but also upon reflection, was I really being patient in that moment? And how could I have cultivated a bit more patience? I don't know. That's a question I'm still like thinking about, but I think it's important to be able to. Right after that happened, I felt like she got really upset and even like kind of scared at my big reaction, and she like ran out of my room, and she was, not only was she upset and feeling badly that she spilled the flowers, but she was also like, even more upset because of the way I reacted. And so then I went into a place of like shame and even more anger because like it was messy. It was messy. I talk about these things because these are the moments that give us opportunity to learn and grow. And we all have these human moments, and I think the process of turning towards and reflecting and looking at like, oh, that was a moment where I felt really ashamed of how I reacted. Like, how can I do this differently in the future? So coming back to the practice of patience during Ramadan, what comes up for me here is, so the food thing, I've been fasting since I was, in grade school. So the food thing now, like I know how to prepare my body for a fast. Like before, like years ago, like a couple of years ago, I was more of a regular coffee drinker. Now I don't really drink coffee. It's kind of a once in a while thing, but I'll definitely be mindful of any kind of caffeine consumption, which really makes me anxious. And I notice like the sensations in the body where I have had caffeine and I have less patience because of the substance in my body. It's crazy noticing the difference and realizing like, oh wow, this is just like how I was operating for years, and thinking that, oh, coffee is the comfort, coffee is what's giving me the solution to get through my day, when in fact it was more like revving me up in a way that didn't feel like settled. And so I'm really mindful of like any kind of caffeine intake, like in the weeks before Ramadan. It's, for me, it's more about being patient with like being more, taking the seat of the observer more, like, because when you're not eating during the day, like you don't have, like, you have to conserve your energy. You don't have, at least I definitely don't have the energy to fight with anybody or argue or like deal with any kind of really intense emotional situations. And so I have to be really grounded in my practice of self-awareness and mindfulness and self-compassion and just being connected to my breath. But it's also wonderful how much spaciousness is created in my day when I don't have to like think about what I'm going to eat or plan a meal or figure out where lunch is coming from today or cook or go grocery shopping. Like food takes up a lot of time in the day. So this is also creates spaciousness to be like kind of reflective and like do other things. It's a month where like I do get to practice more, you know, I feel more connected to God, and it's really just I think there's also like not supernatural, that's not quite the word, but definitely a divine quality to patience. Because, in those moments, I'm like, God, give me patience. And come back to that prayer, Allah sabrni. Like, I ask for patience from a source that is indefatigable. So for me, it's very much a spiritual practice, patience. And I know I call this the feelings pod. I don't know if patience is like something I'd consider an emotion necessarily, but impatience is definitely something in the realm of emotion. I think patience is more of like a state of being. I suppose one could argue that all emotions are states of being, but that's an interesting thought to ponder. Yeah, so the other thing I'm building patience around is just like noticing when I need immediate gratification for something. And a lot of times food is a comfort, and when we're stressed, we'll reach for something like that feels nice to eat. It's like one of the first things that we instinctively do as babies to find comfort is, we're fed. And so when this source of comfort, when food is not a source of comfort that's available, what else can I rely on for comfort? And having patience definitely brings comfort. So let's get into our practice for today. I'd like you to notice how patient you are with the practice today. Sometimes I rush through my prayers or my meditations because I'm excited or, eager to do the next thing. But really the practice is being here right now and knowing that I don't have to rush off to anything. And being fully attending fully to what's here right now is being in a state of patience and presence. So find a comfortable seat here in this moment and just notice where your body is at. If you can make yourself a little bit more comfortable in your seat as you begin to connect to the breath, take a deep breath into the belly and exhale. And notice what you get to let go of today with your breath. And let's visualize breathing in the quality of patience. And we'll use a mantra today with our inhale. I practice patience. And exhale. Inhale. I am patient. And exhale. And inhale. I practice patience. And exhale. Inhale. And exhale. And with each breath, imagine inhaling patience and seeing where that inhale travels in the body. And let it go. Inhale patience. And let it go. Inhale. And exhale. And inhale. And hold the breath here for a moment or two. And imagine this feeling of holding patience. And exhale. Pause once again. Take a deep breath in. Pause. And exhale. Feel free to continue this breathing pattern for as long as it feels good for you. Thank you for practicing with me today. And when you're ready, you can end your practice with patience and ease, and know that you can come back to this practice anytime you wish.